The sports you know and the players you love. This is the Kittitas Valley Sports Show with your host, Ryan Kuhn.
Welcome to the Kittitas Valley Sports Show. My name is Ryan Kuhn, and you are listening to the only podcast that features everything from high school sports to CWU athletics to rodeo. This is episode number 4, and I am excited to announce that college football has finally started up again here in Ellensburg. Central Washington football team has begun their fall camp on Monday, and Ian Shoemaker has graciously taken the time to stop by. Ian, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, thanks for having us, Ryan. Appreciate you doing this.
Of course. So before we get into everything, with the start of fall camps, do you guys have any traditions or any superstitions or anything, Ian?
As far as superstitions go, probably not anything specific. We just, have our basic entry to the camp. Our meetings and things like that, and then we do a little bit of an introduction where the older guys in the position groups get to introduce the younger guys in the position groups, and sometimes that gets a little bit silly, which is fun for the group, I think, at times.
With Ian is a junior linebacker, Billy Greer. Billy, give me an example of that, where you go around and you introduced us.
I can remember one specific time. My good friend JoJo, we like to kind of just poke at him a little bit, call him Sid the Sloth. That's what came out.
Was that a nickname he got here, or was it high school?
I think it carried over from high school.
It's a pretty easy nickname, and you just look at the guy.
Yeah, good looking, great.
Yeah.
See, now we're gonna have to get him on here just to defend himself.
No doubt. And then Dylan Sugg, one of our tight ends, he also does a little bit of a look-alike slideshow he likes to do. And then we also play a lot of videos at the very beginning of these guys like to hop on the computer and play videos in front of our team meetings and stuff like that. So I think there's some light to it and some fun to it. And then things get serious and we go to work.
I was going to say, so last year you had unbelievable success. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think it's our belief system first and foremost. We've talked about it in every recruiting class. Guys like Billy who came in and believed in what we were selling and the ideas about how we could build this program with the Washington kids and the guys over a 5-year period and redshirting and all those little things, kind of adding up and coming together after 4 years. I think that's what we would attribute the success to, and obviously it's great kids. You improve yourself, internally with the weight room and what we're doing leadership-wise and service-wise, but then you recruit really good kids. You try to find guys that, can buy into what you're doing and want to really, perform at a high level. And we've been really fortunate with the groups that we've had over the past 4 classes. And this year I've been really excited about what the freshmen look like so far here at camp.
Now you're in your 5th year. Was that 4th year an important year where you've been here and you needed to have that success to move forward?
No doubt. Obviously, 11-0 was, you take that at any point in any year, you take that success. But, obviously it just, continues to prove that, we have the right people, we have the right scheme, we have the right recruiting plan, we have a lot of the right things in place. And, if I'd done a little better job coaching there in that last game, we might have kept playing a little bit longer. And, those are the things that are exciting when you look back, as disappointed as we were, losing that playoff game is, there's so many things in place that are going in the right direction, and we're hoping to just take a step forward this year.
Billy, when did you feel last year that this team was special and you guys could run the gauntlet?
Probably the end of the season prior, because we had some exit meetings with our coaches, and I think we were all on the same page, like we wanted to win a championship. And then as soon as fall camp started the next year, we had smoke issues and stuff, but we had to pack up, get on a bus, and drive 2 hours to practice, and no one really complained. We actually had fun doing it. It was a good time. Everything we did, we had fun. We worked really hard. We had good leadership. So.
See, I was 3 weeks past that. I thought that Azusa game where you guys won on that game-winning field goal, the craziness at the end. I was like, after that, I was like, okay, something's happening here, and I got to pay a little bit more attention. So
Obviously, that win was huge, getting that field goal at the end of the game and kind of putting us over the edge there. But I agree with Billy, and we've talked about it, and I've said it in the past. I thought our reaction to adversity early in fall camp built, that resiliency and that grit and some of those core values that we talked about, being selfless and having grit and being relentless towards a goal. All those things that we talk about in our core values showed up immediately. There was no question that our guys were prepared. They had no problem with it. They, were able to, like we talk all the time, bob and weave, man, change direction, be ready to go on the next thing and transition to something new. And, our guys lived that all through fall camp with the smoke. And hopefully we don't have to do that again this year. But I think it was a great lesson and really proved to our guys, how much we could get done and how well we could prepare no matter what the obstacle was.
Well, now this obstacle is the heat. I mean, we're going to get up to the triple digits and tomorrow and Thursday, and I'm going to try to stay indoors. You just guys need an indoor practice facility like some of these D1s.
No doubt, and we will get to that to our AD, Mr. Francois. We can ask him about where the indoor facility is and the air conditioning. But for us, it's going to be smart. We want to practice in the heat. We want to prepare and get our guys in great shape. We're going to go play a game that could be hot as heck over in Cheney to start the year. So we want to be prepared for that. Last year we were going to Texas the first weekend, so we wanted to practice in the heat and get prepared for it. And what we're going to do is press ourselves as much as possible and make sure our kids are prepared, but also be intelligent about not overstraining them or putting them in a dangerous situation. So there may be some adjustments to our practice schedule coming up this week.
So this year's motto, keep pushing forward. Was this your idea to do that, or was one of your assistants? Like, how did this motto kind of come forward?
Well, I think it comes from just talks that we have as a team. I stand in front of a team and I talk about where we want to go and what we want to do, and certain things stick. And I think taking a step forward is something that stuck last spring, that we needed to do something to take a step forward, that we wanted to win a bigger ring. We wanted to win a bigger trophy. And how do you do that? Well, we got to do one step more than we did last year, or one play more, that last play of the game, or that play in overtime, or the play in double overtime, or whatever it was. We have to make that play, and how do we get that done is, do something a little bit better than we did last year, and it's going to be difficult. I'm not going to say it's easy. We're replacing a lot of really good players, guys that had great careers for us, and we're looking forward to that challenge and looking forward to those new faces for sure.
Well, I feel like let's start with the defense, Billy. A lot of new faces. I mean, new leadership. Let's start with that leadership. You were given the number 44 jersey in the spring. What does that mean to you?
It means everything. Like, getting the number 44 from Kevin was a big deal for me in my career. Just in general, like, it just kind of sums up everything that I personally have gone through. And now I have an opportunity to help the younger guys, like, reach higher heights. I can help people. I can motivate them. I have the platform now. And that means a lot to me. Like, as a leader on the team, like, people can look to me and I can lead them and they can follow me.
How is this defense different? I mean, you have a new defensive coordinator, Ivan Cordova, coming in from New Mexico. How does he do things different than Scott Power did last year?
He breaks it down in a way that's a lot more easy to compartmentalize in your brain, like the way he does his install. I think it works well for us. Like, we're having a couple of hiccups here and there, just, day two, typical stuff. But the way he's going through it and the way the coaching staff is responding to all the changes that have happened is really, really good. Like, we're really structured, and everyone's buying into it. No one's having any second thoughts about it. We're all into it.
Ian, who are some of these players, besides Billy, who really are going to impact the defense this year?
Well, I mean, obviously, you look out at corner first and foremost. We return, multi-year starters. We return an All-American and Hasty out there, and you have Williams at the other corner. I mean, we go out to practice right now, and I'm looking out there like, man, very rarely do we see something like that during a game. During the season, are we competing against guys better than that? And even in that, that depth in the second and the second string group of corners, even is very competitive. competitive. So I think that's the place that we can definitely hang our hat on. You got guys like Billy up front and Elijah Paga coming back, and you have Tevin Gray and our outside backer. I mean, all these guys have started, made a lot of plays, and have been really good for us. We're going to be replacing 2 really good linebackers, and hopefully we have enough depth in our program now to replace that and find that guy or 2 guys that are going to be those replacements. We're going to be replacing some guys up front like a Bo Banner, to play on the other side of Billy, and we need to find that guy who can be a great edge rusher and help on that side of the ball as well. But those are the places that we're looking at having some strength and having some depth coming back, and then where we're looking at, hey, this group is going to have to show up.
What about on offense? I mean, I feel like your whole offense starts with Riley Hennessy, that Eastern drop down, but you have a brand new receiving core. I mean, most of your receivers left last year. Talk about these new guys.
Well, from the receiving core, we got a lot of guys that have played football for us. From JoJo Hillel has got a lot of playing time from quarterback to receiver and things like that. We think he's going to be a really special guy for us. A guy like Tyson Rainwater, who was a redshirt freshman last year. We like what he's done in the spring and his development, size and athleticism and those things. It is tough when you lose, 3 starters out there who have played multi-years. Those guys had, either started or got a lot of playing time over a 3-year span, and great kids. But I look at the talent of our receiving core. I think is maybe a step up in depth and overall talent in that receiving group. It's just going to be they don't have the playing experience yet. And how fast can we get that done and reps at practice?
What about, I like how 93%, I think I wrote a story about it last year, your recruits come from Washington, but you have a bunch of JC guys from California and some of these other D1 drops down. Talk about them and how do they really fill out your roster?
Well, when we looked and evaluated the roster, we saw that there were some things that, we didn't feel comfortable with after spring as far as the depth or, starting talent. But if you look at, some of those transfers that we took, a majority of those guys are Washington high school guys that we knew coming out of high school. Uli Amai is a linebacker from a junior college down in California, but that's a Timberline kid. We knew of him coming out of high school. A guy like B.J. Hawthorne, who's playing in the defensive end jack position, is a kid that played at Lincoln High School, and we recruited him out of high school, and went down and got his eligibility taken care of. So some of those guys look like California transfers, but when you look at where they came from high school, they're guys that we knew about a lot and had some information on. Yeah, we do have a couple California guys that aren't Washington high school guys, but we thought that there were some holes, and we wanted to be aggressive because we thought that we had a great group returning, with Billy and Riley and, James Moore and Hasty and those guys. Like, okay, we need to make sure that we're supporting those returners with guys that we think can, be ready to play fast.
Billy, how does it feel knowing that, you out of high school, you want to play you want to play college football, and a great program like Central is right in your backyard where a coach like Ian recruits locally?
It feels great to be on a team where most of the guys I play with or against, for the most part, I've played with in high school. Like Coach Shu said, B.J. Hawthorne, I played against him. He went to Lincoln. Uli, I played against him. He went to Timberline. So it's great to be surrounded by people I know, and just it's great.
Let's talk about the schedule a little bit. You have a lot of challenges starting with Eastern, and then the GNAC. Aside from the Eastern game, what are some of these challenges games that kind of you marked on the schedule that you really need to, go after and get?
Right, I can give you the Nick Saban process, one game at a time, be 1-0, which is our mantra, which we really tied to last year and did a really good job focusing, one game at a time. But there are challenges. I mean, when you look at traveling to Missouri, that is going to be a challenge. It's not going to be easy. We bring a team like West Texas up, who's had a lot of success in their history and is one of those storied programs in the Lone Star. They're going to bring some guys up here that are going to surprise a lot of people from a talent aspect, and be interesting to see where we're at that time with that first game under the lights. But the first one that we're most focused on and we talk about every day is that September 1st game on the red turf is coming. We're going to have a group of guys on a bus heading to Cheney, Washington, and we got to be ready to play. And it doesn't matter if it's hot, if there's smoke, anything. Those guys are getting prepared. They're trying to win a national championship there at Eastern. We're trying to win a national championship here at Central. We're both going to be in the top 10 in the country, probably in the preseason polls for most things, and it's going to be a huge challenge to play a team with that much skill and talent. But it's a great game for our program. Two small college teams in the state of Washington, that recruit well in the state of Washington. There's a lot of guys that cross over between, guys that Billy grew up with and played against in high school are going to be on that field as well.
So I have to ask: is this a home and home where? Eastern. You got a brand new field coming.
That is not the case. There's not a lot of Division I schools that are going to be taking a trip to Ellensburg anytime soon.
Now the GNAC preseason poll came out today. You guys were picked to win, but not. Azusa got a vote as well. Do you feel any pressure being that number one team now that you are the hunted rather than the hunter?
There's no doubt, when you look at the pressure, but again, we talked about it before, the pressure is what we put on ourselves. Our expectations outweigh, anybody else's outside expectations, expectations of our players, expectations of our coaches, administration and things like that. We put those expectations on ourselves, and they outweigh anything that we're finding probably from the media or from conference voters or anything like that.
Yeah, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. I bet you motivate yourselves a lot. But in the background, when you guys are practicing, you have a brand new field. How much is that motivation? Billy, like you played on grass your first 2 years here, but now you get a brand new turf. How does that feel?
Oh, it's a dream come true. Since I was a freshman, we were thinking about it, planning it, and we heard about it, but it never came into fruition. But now that it's finally here, it's almost surreal. Can't wait for it to come out, and then we can have night games now. We're gonna have lights and stuff, and I think for the students here that'll help a lot. Like not a lot of students can go to the game sometimes because it's in the middle of the day and people have other things to do. But now that it's at nighttime, we're gonna have a giant student section, the turf field. Parents are gonna love it. It's gonna be great. And then afterwards, we can just rally together.
How different is it? Talk to the listeners about how different it is playing on turf rather than grass. I know I've seen the mud difference, but really, is there more difference than just a muddy field?
I wouldn't say there's a huge difference. It's just sometimes there's a big tradition aspect to playing on grass that we kind of liked. But I think the turf field is something that we earned, in a way. It's we finally get a turf field, and we've been playing on grass for so long. You hear other teams come in when we play on grass that hate the grass, but we love that they hate it. So it's a good thing.
Ian, talk about.
I think the first thing is probably just consistency of playability.
Right.
That's a huge thing from a operational standpoint. Obviously, there's a lot of guys. They've won a lot of games here at Central. We won a lot of games here on that grass field in the middle of the day, and all that is great, and that tradition is awesome. But the way college football is going and trying to get people to the game and provide opportunities for tailgating and all those different opportunities, this turf and the lights are going to really help that. It's also going to help us as far as practice. You're going to be able to get on that field more often, and the footing is going to be more consistent. Obviously 2 years ago we had all the rain games that were really miserable and ruined the turf, going into the late part of the season. So, you're not going to have those concerns, and there's going to be more winter conditioning, more throwing, more things that we can do on that turf through the off season as well, which is really exciting to me.
How do you feel that this university is putting so much money into football with the new field and lights and all that, where a lot of these D2 Western teams like Humboldt State folded, where, and others, how does that make you feel that this university is putting that much praise into football?
Well, obviously it's a priority from the president down to our alumni base. The great thing about this job is football is important at Central. And that was one of the driving forces for me when this job came open to, put my name in the hat and try to get involved with it, because you want to be somewhere where football matters and where football is important. And I'm very fortunate to have this job because you can see that, there's dollars going in. Our part of the fundraising for the stadium is all funded by boosters. The track and field and the new turf on that side is funded through the rec center and through dollars there. But everything that we do football stadium wise, that was a person writing a check to our program and saying, hey, we want you guys to have better facilities, improved facilities, great facilities, all those things. And we're so thankful for that. And that attitude of gratitude our guys should carry every day with watching that thing go up.
Billy, I'm going to be cliche here. And what's the ultimate goal? I mean, of course, it's win a championship, but do you feel like something really special happening here in Central that, this D2 college football program is kind of acting like a FCS school in what they're doing?
At the end of the day, our ultimate goal is to just go 1-0 each week. But I think what's happening here is we're building a culture of winning and playing relentlessly. Like none of the new guys who come in here thinking this is a pushover program, because it's not. Like, we work really hard and it shows on the field. And every single week we come out with the same mindset, and that's to win, regardless of what goes on. So,
guys, I really appreciate it. Ian, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to stop by. You too, Billy. We'll have to get you guys on again.
No problem. Anytime. We'd love to do it.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the Kittitas Valley Sports Show. I am your host, Ryan Kuhn, and I will leave you with this. Coming together is the beginning. Staying together is progress. Working together is success. Goodbye, everybody.